No, that's fine. Okay. Okay. Now here's the important part, and this is where we need to talk. I asked you what your biggest weakness was, and you said your biggest weakness is tilting.
I think so.
What tilts you? Like, I always get very, very spooked when people put that into their form.
Well, the VOD review we're gonna go over, I'm tilted. So I don't know if that's good or bad. I've also kind of struggled on having a video to show you because, like you've stated, you know, you should go in with a couple of questions and something that you don't understand or you want to improve on. But to get into the tilted part, so I think the majority is often when I am either I'm playing bad or in conjunction with I'm playing bad. More so, like I'm starting to focus on my teammates and not on, like I'm starting to focus on my teammates and things I can't control rather than myself and what I can control. So like if my teammate's not doing what they're supposed to do, I tend to like let that irritate me. Or if I call for something and something isn't done, that irritates me.
Okay, good. I'm just gonna be like straight with you here. Okay, so two things. So when your teammates do something that you think is wrong, that tilts you. And when you tell your teammates to do something, but then they don't do that thing, that also tilts you, correct? Okay.
Correct.
Two things, and it's really important that you take this at like face value, right? Okay. Number one, when your teammates are doing something that you disagree with, right? So can you give me an example?
Anubis attacking second point. Their diva's on the like high ground where the widow is, and our diva never contests her for like 3 or 4 pushes.
Right. Okay. No, listen. Here's the important thing. So you're a like a diamond-ish support main, right?
Yeah.
And what he was like a diamond-ish off-tank main, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's say I'm just being completely looking at this completely objective. Okay. I have an off-tank question, right? Maybe I'm a silver off-tank player, right? And I was playing the game and I have a question about diva, right? And there's 2 people in front of me. There's you and there's that diamond diva off-tank main, okay?
Okay.
Just be honest with yourself. If you were in that situation, who would you ask?
A diva off tank player.
Okay.
The diamond off tank player.
I'm not saying that what the diva is doing is correct or that she's good at the game. What I'm saying is you have even less of a clue than she does. And it's always very easy to kind of look at it from a third-person perspective and then figure out what the correct play is. But it's always very different from her perspective because she has a completely different feel for how tanky she is. She knows what cooldowns she has. You can't keep track of her cooldowns. Maybe she has a completely different objective at a time. Maybe she knows, oh, there's a diva up there anyways. I can't contest this. I'll focus on the other DPS. The specific reasoning is irrelevant, but the important part is you need to be under the assumption that that diamond, like he made it to the same rating that you're at, but as off tank, right? If I would put you on diva, you would not make it to diamond. Eventually,
Correct.
You'd make it to diamond, but off tank is worlds apart from support, right? So I don't want you to take advice like in the same way how you shouldn't take advice from them. They shouldn't take advice from you because they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to support play. You don't know what you're talking about when it comes to off-tank play. And it's not a matter of pride or anything. It's just don't judge other people's play. Do you know how Blackjack works?
No, not really.
Okay, it's like a gambling. You draw cards and then you either get lucky or you get shit on, right? In Blackjack, okay, there's always a correct move. Statistically speaking, so in Blackjack is pretty simple. Either you hit, like you draw a card, or you just don't draw a card, right? There's always, one of them is always going to be objectively correct, statistically speaking. Okay? But sometimes you just get shit cards and you lose. You can make the exact correct play and you still lose. Okay? Overwatch is exactly like that. The game throws random cards at you. You cannot choose who your enemies are. You cannot choose who your teammates are, right? But it's up to you to look at the hand that's been dealt to you and then figure out, what am I supposed to do here? And as long as you're making the correct play, right? So obviously in Blackjack, the casino always wins. Even if you play perfectly, you're going to lose money. In Overwatch, it isn't like that. If you always make the correct move in Overwatch, over the long run, you're going to climb. Okay, so that's number one reason of tilt. Number two, when you tell your teammates what they should do and they don't do it. Okay, now again, and be honest with yourself. Okay, that Diamond Widowmaker one trick, okay, during the game tells you as Ana that you should nano boost him when you have a Genji with Dragon Blade on the team. Okay, what kind of emotion would you experience as those words come out of that Widowmaker's mouth?
Man, that person's stupid.
Right. That's what people think of you. So again, it's if you tell your main tank, oh, you should do that. Like the oldest example in the book, Grav Dragon. Okay, you have a Zarya Graviton Surge, you have a Hanzo with Dragon. The classic, guys, let's use Grav Dragon this fight. Okay, and people don't realize how much they just shit all over their team and how many games they throw by saying that. Because it does two things, right? First of all, it is like, it's called micromanagement, where you're just kind of commandeering around. So they just get tilted because nobody likes to be told what they're supposed to do. Even if you're well, like have a nice, like, what is, like, the opposite of mean-spirited. If you have good intentions, or even if your advice is good, they're still going to feel like, okay, you know, you play support. Can you please shut the fuck up? Can I play the game? Second, you obviously don't know what you're talking about all of the time. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It's a gamble. You don't really want to take that gamble, right? If I want to know when to use my Zarya ultimate, I would prefer asking the Diamond Zarya player over the Diamond support player, obviously. And it also, so on top of tilting your teammates because you're micromanaging them, and tilting you because they don't listen to your micromanagement, it's also going to force your teammates, like, it's going to, you're essentially, like, it's kind of a harsh word, but you're kind of coercing them into making a certain play, right? So even if, right, Grav and Dragon is like a really thick combo, right? Like, you're blowing two ultimates to potentially just win a single team fight, right? But maybe the Zarya is good at Zarya, and she doesn't even need the Dragon. Maybe she can farm up energy, and then she can find an opener to maybe split off two people, and then bam, you win the team fight off of one ultimate. Or maybe the Hanzo sees a really good opportunity where maybe he can just Dragon through the wall, and then he can easily get one or two picks, right? But now you've ingrained into their brain Grav Dragon. So not only do they completely ignore their play, right? Maybe Hanzo or Zarya, they see those opportunities, but they don't jump on them because in the back of their heads, they're like, I can't use my ultimate here. I need to save it for Grav Dragon, which happens most of the time. And once they eventually do use the combo, it's going to feel like really, really, really forced because now you have two moving parts. Okay, if they just use their ultimates on their own, then they just trust their judgment, everything is smooth, everything is fine. But when you add an additional ulti to the mix, maybe your Hanzo isn't in position, right? Maybe your Zarya just can't find a good grab opportunity, so your Hanzo just sits on his ultimate for like 2 minutes, right? There's like so much shit that can go wrong that you just can't see from your perspective. That doesn't have anything to do with you being bad or being stupid. It's just information that isn't available to you. They have a completely different perspective on the game. And that information just allows them, like, that information and their experience on the role just allow them to make smarter decisions than you. Now, you can give info calls, right? If you see a Widowmaker is flanking, calling that the Widowmaker is flanking is completely fine. Because then you're not telling people what to do. You're giving them information that they can use to figure out what they want to do, right? So your two primary reasons of tilt are super duper unnecessary, a huge waste of time, and you really shouldn't, like, come on, man, you're not 14. You need to kind of get past this, okay?
Yeah, and that's all like fantastic advice. I just want to bring this up because I'm thinking about it. Um, so my overall goal is to be top 500
Yes.
in ranked, and I don't really get tilted in ranked anymore. So maybe that's not. It's tilt is like a big issue for me. It used to be in
Mm-hmm.
ranked, but now when I'm tilting, it's usually in scrims.
In
So
scrims,
yeah.
who are you scrimming with that you can get tilted? No, 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 no.
Uh,
I'm genuinely serious.
Like, what do you mean? Like my team, my teammates. It's the same thing. It's like I'm basically regressing back to my ranked tilting days. It's just now it's
Okay.
scrims.
Okay, let me phrase it this way. If you
Okay.
get you shouldn't so if sometimes people tilt in ranked because they're alone. So tilt the main humans tilt when something is out of their control. Okay? If you lose and you 100% understand why you lost and you know that you could have done something different but you just fucked up, no one gets tilted by that. People get tilted when they feel like they're out of control, when it was out of their control, right? If it was some external factor controlling, right? Or maybe they just got cheesed and they just think that there's nothing that they could have done. That's what's tilting. When people lose control, that's when anxiety starts to happen. Now, when you're in scrims, that usually helps because you choose the people you play with, for one, so that's one less reason to tilt. And second, ideally, you want to. So, as much as people don't like to admit it, we're really, really inclined to copy the behavior of the people around us. So, for example, when I started playing Overwatch, the first thing that I did when the game came out is I immediately started looking for a group to play with. And I joined like a little gaming community, super casual. But there was this one guy who like played FPS games for years, right? He was super high level. And like in his first season of Overwatch, he reached like rank 80, I think, which now would be high top 500. So I got to play with him, and like his approach on the game kind of started like it really really started to affect me because but before I played Overwatch, I played League of Legends and I told people to kill themselves every single day. Like I was the biggest piece of shit. Like I wish I could go back in time and just punt. Like it was incredible, right? But as I grew up and as I started playing with people that aren't mentally ill, I eventually, you know, like it completely changed my mindset because that rank 80 player, he was always calm, always focusing. Like obviously, like he flamed the game sometimes, right? Like sometimes he would go, "Oh Jesus Christ, dude, that ability is so fucking bullshit," right? But he would never really flame his teammates or something. Like he had this unlucky sort of mindset. Like if something bad happens, unfortunate, life happens, move on, right? And that starts to kind of wash off on other people. And when you join a team, and this is like I'm kind of talking about this a lot, but it's important. When you join a team, you want to surround yourself with people who have a mindset that you feel complements the issues that you are having. So if you're dealing with tilt, then you honestly don't even want to focus on the skill of the people you play with. I mean, obviously it should be around like, you know, the same as R if possible, but you just want to find the most tilt-proof people on the planet. Because like you wouldn't believe how little control you have over your own behavior. Like if you surround yourself with people like that, it is genuinely impossible to tilt. It is fascinating. I wish I would understand how it works. I just know that it does. But yeah, I think that's honestly enough about tilt because I do want to eventually go over the gameplay.
Sure.
But
Well, the tilt will come up in the gameplay, so.
well, wait, do you mean like you're flaming people in game?
We're all tilted. So it's GGNA finals, last map. We're getting kind of old. We're pissed. Yeah, so I talked to my coach yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and he suggested I find a better team because he thinks I'm not aligned with this team in terms of skill and just personality and like seriousness.
Yeah.
Like so that's part of I think why I'm tilting at my teammates. It's like there'd be scrims where like we're not trying, like they just don't try. They're like, oh, let's run Bastion because it's fun. I'm like, oh, and
Oh,
no,
so
like,
they're
they just do stupid shit, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm here to learn. I'm trying to here to get better. So that kind of stuff tilts me. And then we go into a serious game, and they don't have any alternate strategies. And I think the big thing is I don't trust them because we've had this.
See, so that's
Like-
what I was referring to. That's
Yeah.
like that's a problem. Again, you want to surround yourself with people who have that competitive spirit. If your goal is to reach top 500, then you don't want to play with people who don't have that same goal, as harsh as it sounds. Like, it really is
believe it.
detrimental. And honest to God, if that's what you're saying, I don't presume to understand the team situation. And I'm not saying that you should just do something because I tell you to. But if it is true that you feel like your goals are so fundamentally misaligned with that of your teammates, then you're wasting your time with that team. And no hard feelings towards your teammates. That doesn't mean that they're bad, obviously, or that they're bad people or whatever. It just means, hey guys, you know, I kind of want to take this game serious. Like, I really have, you know, proper aspirations. And, you know, I feel like, you know, me try-harding and you guys playing more for fun, you know, just isn't in anyone's best interest.
Oh, I've taken your advice to. I'm gonna grind at solo ranked. I can't play with you.
Okay.
That's, I guess, the same kind of thing I need to do with.
With your, here's the thing:
teammates
if you want to reach top 500, like, just being real here, you need to understand what top 500 actually means. Okay?
Yeah.
You do know how many people play this game. Okay, and then you just think about all of the Smurfs in top 500. It's maybe top 300 at best.
So
Out
I
of
have to fight against all of them
millions.
plus like 5 Violet accounts.
That's what I meant by Smurfs, yeah. Like, top 500 is not something that you do as a hobby or on the side just for fun. Like, when we talk about top 500, like, you know, you're taking that shit more serious than your job at that point.
Yeah, you're right.
Unless you're like the CEO of Tesla or something. So you can't make any compromises. Like, you can't go, oh, you know, I guess, you know, I don't need to spend that many hours, or, oh, well, I can just skip this VOD review, or, oh, well, I don't need to warm up, or, well, you know, it's fine if I play a little bit of quick play, or if I queue with these casual friends for a little. Like, no. If you want to hit Masters, whatever, even if you want to hit GM, you can probably still get away with some of that stuff. But if you want to get top 500, like, you need to ditch that stuff. Only surround yourself with, like, actual people who want to get there, and just get rid of all distractions, because you need to get every little advantage that you can get. Okay?
Yeah.
Good. Let's go over the VOD. So you sent me 2 links. How am I to interpret this?
I believe the YouTube video is where I would go to. The other one, because I don't have a replay code anymore because the patch just hit. So I have the other one is just the stream in case you, for whatever reason, needed to see an alternate angle.
Okay. GGNA 4.5. I'm assuming that, like, does that refer to the skill rating? Or
No, I don't know why they called it that. Season 4 just ended, so this is like a half season or something.
okay. I was
Like a
really,
shorter season.
I was so confused because you sent me that link and I was like, oh, thank God, dude, some good gameplay. And then I
Debated you.
and then I looked at
You're
the
like,
forum.
oh man,
I looked at the forum and I was like, oh no,
damn it, not again.
I've been debated. But yeah, let me just do this. Am I going to do this? I am going to send you a link. It's going to ask you for a password.
Okay.
Password
Insights?
is, yeah. The password is 123. The 2 is capitalized. And then you should be able to see the VOD.
Wait, the password is 123?
Yes.
That's not okay. You mean 1 at 3?
123. The 2 is capitalized.
Oh, the words. I'm an idiot.
No, you're an idiot. It's a joke. Just type in 123.
I hate you.
Oh my God. Usually people just give me a shitty little chuckle, like, haha, very funny German piece of
I'm
shit.
a boomer, dude. You gotta.
Full
I don't know.
on
I don't
boomer.
have enough brain cells. This is why I tilted my teammates, because I'm dumb.
Oh God. Okay, I'm gonna just turn this VOD down because I don't really want to listen to people talking. Okay. I mean, your team comp looks pretty solid. You guys are holding really far back. Why are you guys holding this far? Also, by the way, so in terms, you can't see anything?
I see like a very zoomed in video. Let me refresh. Maybe that'll work.
What browser are you using?
It's like a Chrome variant. You want me to use Firefox?
A Chrome variant.
Yeah, Vivaldi? I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I know Vivaldi. Like, it should work with Chromium-based browsers. I guess you can use it, like, try using it with Firefox, but it should work.
Looks like Firefox is working better. They probably both work, but whatever. I'll just stay in Firefox now.
Okay, so because since this isn't a ranked match, I need to focus. So I want to kind of develop your overall understanding of the game. So I'm not only going to focus on what you're doing, I also kind of want to explain what's going on around you and how the comp is supposed to be played. So you're playing a Mei comp, which means, as straightforward as it sounds, your goal is to hold the enemy team at the choke and then wall them off and then nade them and then win team fights like this. So your guys' positioning here is very, very, very passive. Honestly, like, they're already through the choke. What is the main objective of a Mei composition?
To wall them off and speed on the person wall main tank, wall Ryan, and then speed on him and kill him.
It used to be that way.
Okay.
Ever since hero bans, the meta has become a lot more DPS focused. So tanks are kind of, like, as harsh as it sounds, tanks are kind of irrelevant now. They just sort of exist to tank damage and contest the objective. So you don't really want to use your Mei wall as much to split off tanks because usually you lack the damage to actually kill them. And it's just a huge waste of time for everyone. You want to use your Mei wall to split the entire enemy team. That's number one. Second concept is defense in general. So how do you want to structure your defense to get, like, to make it as consistent as possible?
In a Mei comp?
In general. So Mei comp is with the wall, but in general on defense on top of that, how do you want to structure your defense? So
you want to like burn the enemy resources as much on the way to the point, and at least I guess I don't know, in this composition or something, you would want to maintain a safe distance from the enemy and make them burn their resources, so then you can engage when they're down resources.
No. That's not what you want to do.
Okay.
No. Okay. So the basic structure of defense is, you can think of it this way. So a defense usually isn't just one team fight and then the entire defense is over, right? What you want to do on a defense is you want to have multiple, like, opportunities, essentially. Right? So honestly, I think the best way to explain it is to just use King Zero as an example. So you essentially have three potential fights. You have the first one at the main choke, right? The one that the enemy team just walked through for free. You have the second one, which is what you guys are doing right now, holding on the point. And then the third one technically is holding behind hotel, which is where you're standing right now. Those are kind of the three fights that you can take. So the way that you would structure your defense is you would start at the choke, and you would keep playing at the choke, and you would keep wasting the enemy team's time. And eventually the enemy team is going to keep applying pressure, keep applying pressure, keep applying pressure. Right? If you guys haven't gotten a pick by then, eventually the pressure is going to become so big that your main tank is forced to fall back. In that case, he goes from defense position 1, which is the choke, to defense position 2, which is on the point. And then you do the same thing again. You hold, you try to look for picks, you just stay alive, you hold your ground, until eventually the pressure by the enemy team becomes so large. And again, the better the enemy team, the bigger the pressure, the better your team, the better you guys will be at handling that pressure. Eventually the pressure becomes so big that you guys are going to be forced off of the point, and then you're going to go behind the hotel, and then you have one final attempt to win a fight and then hopefully regain point control. And if during one of these three stages you actually manage to get a pick or some sort of other advantage, you can then push into the enemy team, win the fight, and then start all over again at the front. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now the problem is you guys have completely thrown away that first defense at the choke. Right? So the enemy team, how much pressure did they apply to get through that initial choke?
They existed, that's it.
Right, and that's not really good, because that means a bronze team would have been able to push past that choke against you guys, which isn't really that good. So that's one, and the attacking team is playing against the clock. They're the ones who need to do stuff. So you want to waste their time as much as possible. So even if you don't get a pick, even if you don't win a team fight, if you can hold them at that choke for like 15 seconds, that's 15 seconds off their clock. Okay? But yeah, so ideally you hold at that choke, you look for a May wall to split the enemy team, and yeah. Like at this point, essentially, honestly, you're kind of... When the enemy team gets on the point, it's already pretty scuffed. Usually you want to soften them up at the choke so that if they make it towards the point, they're going to be starved of resources. The most obvious example of a resource is going to be Reinhardt's shield. So if the enemy team makes it to the point, you want to make sure that at least by the time they reach the point, the Reinhardt doesn't have his shield anymore. And if the Reinhardt doesn't have his shield, then the enemy team is going to have a very difficult time actually maintaining ground on the point, because they're just going to eat free damage, right? But because you guys let them push on for free, now they're on the point with the full Reinhardt shield. And at this point, pretty much the only way you guys can actually win this is if the enemy team just throws, and you never want to rely on the enemy team throwing. So I wish I could tell you that you individually misplayed, but...
If you go back, I shouldn't have went for the ambitious nade. My team immediately got low and I could have healed my team.
It's not... No. Quite the opposite. Let me go back to that nade, actually. So you might think that, but that isn't actually true. So, okay, so the nade was bad, but not for the reason that you think it is. The reason the nade was bad is because like you just threw it straight at them, so it's not going to hit anything. The way that you should have thrown your nade is either number A, you can throw it at the wall behind the enemy team. Okay, I'm trying to draw on the screen, but...
On the point?
No, I'm trying to draw on the screen, but for some reason it's not working. Can you see me drawing?
No.
Okay, wait, maybe I can plaster a sticker. Okay, I cannot plaster a sticker.
Talking about where the payload comes from?
Okay, insides are just being scuffed. Just imagine, do you see the A? Like defend yes. A. So a little bit to the right of it, so you pretty much above the Zarya, you want to throw a shield at the wall behind them, because that way the enemy Rein can't block it. Right? So every single time the Reinhardt is standing in some sort of wall, you can punish that by throwing a nade at that wall, and then you anti-nade the enemy team and they can't do anything about it. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay, that's option number one. Option number two would be just going through the hotel towards the right. Again, I would draw, but for some reason insides isn't working. Just walking through the hotel and then trying to go for a big nade from behind. Those are your two options. Now, the reason why you shouldn't go for a heal nade is because at this point you have nothing to lose. So you guys have already royally thrown this point beyond belief, to be honest. So at this point, unless the enemy team misplays, it's just a free win for them. Like there's nothing that you guys can do. Whenever you're in a situation like that, right? Obviously in this case, you guys put yourselves into that situation because you just let them push through the choke for free. If you guys get into a situation where you are this far behind, usually it's when the enemy team gets a pick or two and you know, this team fight is probably lost anyways. That's when you can go for hero plays because you have nothing to lose, so you might as well go for high risk, high reward plays. Now, healing your teammates isn't going to win you the team fight, right? So obviously you look at this and you throw your nade and it doesn't connect because, I mean, it hits one person, but your team can't really follow up on it. And then you see that your teammates are low HP and you tell yourself, oh man, if only I had saved my nade. But just being honest with yourself, do you really think throwing your nade at your teammates would have changed anything about the position that you guys are in right now?
No, our Ryan's gonna lose his shield soon, and
right?
That's it.
Like,
that's the end of the fight.
Sometimes if you don't shower for 7 weeks, like there's only so much perfume you can put on. and this is kind of that, like, this situation is shit. It smells really bad. You throwing the nade here is maybe going to buy you guys a couple seconds at best. And whereas if you go for a super high hero play nade, maybe you hit 3 people, your team runs in, you get a pick, and then you can actually regain momentum. Do you have any questions so far?
No, it's well, one, it's not my call to call positioning, right? In general, as a support or as the fight planner.
Well, your comp is completely fine. What's wrong with your comp?
Well, like I wouldn't say like, oh, we have to hold a choke. That should be
Oh,
not my job.
I mean, okay, see, this is the thing. What does it mean it's not your job? See, so you're on the team, right? You're on the team, and you want the team to win, right? So does it really matter whose job it is? Like, you're essentially just looking for whose responsibility it is, but it's kind of irrelevant whose responsibility it is, right?
Gotcha.
In the end, if you want to be a good player, you want to have good game knowledge, and then you can impart that game knowledge onto your team, right? In a constructive, nice kind of way. Just telling them, hey guys, by the way, we should start holding at the choke, look for some early Maywalls, just so we waste some more of their time. We can break down their shields a little, and it gives us more time to potentially get a pick before they get onto the point, right? And again, it's kind of irrelevant whose job it is. Like, generally speaking, and again, I'm saying this, but I don't want you to use this as an excuse to flame your main tank. Generally speaking, the main tank is responsible for choosing where to take fights. So he's the one who starts at the choke, and then he falls back onto the point, and then he falls back behind Hotel in the example of King's Row first point defense. But maybe he just doesn't know about that. Well, I mean, obviously he doesn't know about that. Otherwise, he would have done it, right? But since you're on the team, it is in your best interest to do whatever helps the team succeed. And sometimes that means, kind of giving pointers like this. And this isn't like ranked, right? In ranked, you shouldn't tell people how to play. That's not going to end well. Yeah. Right? But in scrims, as long as you offer it as like a kind suggestion, like, hey, like, don't phrase it as, yo, Ryan, what the fuck, can you hold at the choke? Why are you just falling back, right? Try to phrase it instead of, hey, Ryan, what do you think? So kind of as a suggestion, like, so very humbly, like, hey, I don't really know, how to do this, but it would be really, really beneficial to me and the May if we could start holding at the choke. Right, so instead of phrasing it as you're doing it wrong, do what I'm telling you, then you're doing it right. Instead, just ask them for a favor. Like, hey, if you could do this, that would really help us out, right? And then he can say, oh, yeah, sure, if that helps you out, then obviously I can do it. Or he's going to tell you, yeah, I know, but I really can't do it for reasons X, Y, Z, and then you can come up with another solution. Okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Then let's get on to the second point. Okay, rip Lucia, rip Torbjorn. Okay, you guys are just permanenting right now.
It gets worse. I'm tilted.
Well, I mean, you didn't do anything like super wrong besides that nade, so there's really no reason to get tilted at this point.
Well, we're 4 maps in. We've had time to build a tilt.
As harsh as it sounds, like, you need to be more selfish. Like, when I'm playing, sometimes I like to play games with friends. Like, I played League of Legends with friends, right? And sometimes I'm like super fed out of my mind. I have a billion items. I can just one-shot people, right? But like, all of my teammates are just not having a great day, and the game just becomes like, maybe it's carryable if I'm like some god tier LCS level player, but for me at that point it wasn't really carryable anymore. But at that point I don't think to myself, oh my god, this was such a free win, I was so ahead, but then my teammates threw it away. I look at that game and I go, we played against the same team and I was shitting against my opponent while all of my teammates get shit on. Like, you need to use moments like these as a confidence boost. And again, it sounds really selfish and kind of ego inflating, but it's a much, much healthier mindset. Every single time you hop into ranked and your teammate dies to some stupid shit, just use that as a reminder that that's the kind of elo you're at, and that you really, that it's definitely doable to become good enough to climb out of this rating and play against people who are better.
It's strange because I have like that mindset in ranked, but I don't in scrims. I don't know whether it's like I'm with these. I think it's because, like you said, there is not a similar mindset with the individuals or their organization.
Yeah, and obviously
Right,
that's
but
something
yeah,
we've
that's
talked
good.
about
That's good
earlier.
advice.
Okay. Where are your ultimates? How do you guys not have any ultimates right now, besides you? Okay. Ideally...
Lost 2 fights early.
Yeah, but by now at least... I was thinking someone used their ultimate, but I guess you guys just didn't get a chance to really charge them so far.
I don't think the enemy used any either.
Oh yeah, but now they have multiple, so this fight is
they
going
use
to be kind
everything.
of scuffed. Ooh, can you justify this nade?
I think I was trying to hit the May, but
We're trying to hit the May?
it sounds dumb now, but yeah.
Okay, let's say you were trying to hit the May. That's some trash aim if you were trying to hit the May. But even... but even... It's like she's literally not even on your screen.
Yeah.
Let's say you wanted to hit the nade on the May. Did you really need that nade?
No.
Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, right now, you guys are so far behind on momentum. The enemy team has a bunch of ultimates. They have control of the payload. They're just pushing and getting picks over and over again. Right now, whenever you're getting snowballed like this, your number one objective shouldn't be, oh, I need to keep my teammates alive, because that's not a battle you can win. No matter how much you focus on healing your teammates, the enemy DPS is always going to be higher than the healing per second you can put through. The only way you can break a snowball is by abusing the fact that you have nothing to lose, right? They have a snowball, so they need to play safer. They don't want to throw that lead away, right? But you can play a lot more dangerous. You can play a lot more, I guess, cocky, which gives you more opportunities to, flip the momentum around. That's kind of the dynamic of the game. So especially now that you're behind, you really want to focus on looking for more aggressive nades whenever you get the opportunity to figure out if there's to see if there's an opportunity to turn the momentum around. Because yeah, as you saw, the May didn't really need it. And at this point, do you see how, like, your McCree dying? Like, is there anything you could have done about that?
I don't even know where he was.
He's right in front of you.
So I could have healed him?
Well, I'm asking you, look at the McCree dying here.
Guessing it's a fire strike? Yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah, fire strike to Baptiste ultimate. He's just dead immediately. There's nothing you can do, right? And that's kind of what I'm trying to say. Healing isn't going to stop this snowball. No amount of healing will. A 5-man anti-nade that has the potential to turn this around. And that might even mean going into some weird, super aggressive position, right? Like telling your team, I wish I could draw, but walking up the stairs on the right side and then going on the high ground and then just trying to land a nade from up there. Like, you have nothing to lose. Yeah. Whenever you watch Overwatch League and someone makes a really, really sick play, it's usually out of, like, either because they're stomping and they're just screwing around, or it's out of necessity because they don't have anything to lose, so they might as well go for it. But yeah, this is I wish I could say more, but this is kind of a massive stump.
Well, yeah. Like I said, I couldn't think of a better video to show.
Okay. Okay, so you use your nano boost proactively here. You don't really want to do that, and this kind of goes against what I just said. You want to focus on just getting as much value out of your abilities as you possibly can. And with your nano boost, using it proactively like this doesn't guarantee you value. Because, so how do you define getting value out of your nano boost? What defines a valuable nano boost?
In general or right now?
In general.
Oh, jeez.
Like, if you look on it...
Gaining an advantage in the team fight. So it wouldn't necessarily be like, okay, we're getting a pick. Maybe it's we're creating space, or we're saving, like, in this case, like, saving our Reinhardt's resources so he doesn't have to hard shield, or enabling someone to, like, just do whatever they want.
Exactly. So those are ways to get value. But the problem is, using your nano boost proactively like this doesn't guarantee you any value. right? For all you know, you're gonna nano boost him, and he's just going to hold up his shield all the time.
Yeah.
That would be a pretty wasted nano boost. So ideally, in situations like these, since you just want to get as much value as possible, with nade, getting value means hitting anti-nades in this situation, right? But with your nano boost, you want to wait until they're low HP so you can at least get the healing component out of it, because that's guaranteed value. If you nano boost the Reinhardt when he's half HP, even if he just holds up his shield for the entire duration, at least it wasn't wasted because you saved his life with the heal. It's an insanely strong burst heal. Okay?
Yeah. So I guess I agree with that. What the question I have now is, obviously it's different from scrim to ranked. Because in ranked, I usually just wait until someone does something. Like if I see the Rhine charging and he's charging the other Rhine, I'll like nano boost him. And I usually don't call like, okay, we're gonna engage with nano here. In this setting, as where I'm like define myself as like a fight planner, I'm saying we're going to engage with these ultimates. You're just saying that the timing of the use of the ultimate is poor, but the fight plan is okay. We'll go in. We're going to use nano. It's just the timing of the ultimate.
So using nano here in general is completely fine. But yeah, the timing is just unnecessarily early because you can get just objectively more value out of it if you just wait a little bit. Like that's what they do in higher level games as well. If they go for a nano boost on a tank, they don't just nano boost them straight away. The tank just knows, oh, okay, I'm going to get nano boosted. They just trust in that process, and then they start running in, and then once they lose HP, that's when they get nano boosted.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So I think we don't get any value out of it anyway.
Yep.
Right.
Right, and if you would have used it here, for example, at least you would have been able to heal the Reinhardt to full.
And he would have probably killed the Rhine.
Okay. So this is another example. You're panic nading a lot, and this doesn't really have anything to do with your team. This nade is just really unnecessary. Even just throwing it towards the enemy team for ult charge would have been a better use. Because your nade is essentially stealing healing away from your left click, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. Also, you're going into a really, really safe position here. Like, you're playing very far back. Can you explain your reasoning behind that?
I think I'm afraid.
What are you afraid of?
The enemy team, I believe. Like, I feel like shit is just not working, and yeah, like kind of like with the nade as well. I feel like I'm panicking. So I guess if I'm looking back at this, I don't like. I guess I don't. Well, I guess in general, I wouldn't know a better position. Would I be a better position to hug the wall on the right side of like behind the McCree by the mini, or should I be playing closer to where my McCree is positioned?
Honestly, you want to play in front of your McCree. I don't know where your McCree is playing this far back either.
Okay.
So again, if you want to be, you need to kind of dress for the job you want to have, not the one you have right now. So if you want to be a top 500 player, you need to start thinking like one right now. And with it comes confidence, right? So would a top 500 player in this situation be scared of pushing up a little? Obviously not, right? Because this position doesn't allow you to land any offensive nades. At this point, you've already realized that you guys are just really, really behind. And unless you have an impact, unless you land big sleeps and nades, you're not going to win, right? So at this, like playing this far back, pretty much the only thing that accomplishes is maybe saving your KD, but it doesn't save the game.
Gotcha.
If you play at the front, it enables you to land sleeps and enables you to land nades much easier because the travel time is shorter, so you can react more quickly to the enemy team doing something stupid, right? Especially with players of this rating, sometimes they just run in front of the right shield. You wouldn't be able to punish that with a sleep dart from here. Sometimes your Reinhardt just pins in like a maniac. Can't do anything from back here. Right, and sometimes the entire enemy team just dies to Diva Bomb, right? But in general, it's better in situations like this. The only time you can really afford to position safely like this is if you're anticipating some big ultimate. So for example, if the enemy team has a Mei ultimate and you know that your team already has a plan against it, oh my god, freaking TeamSpeak notifications. and you know that your team has an answer to it, so you don't really need the nade to carry, then you can just stand in the back and kind of chill. Also, I accidentally skipped ahead. Where were we? I think it was here.
So I guess, like, I'm here. Like, I want to hold this position, but my team doesn't.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm trying to ask them. So like, just do that more often.
To like, well, ideally you want to have as much space to retreat into behind you as possible. Right. If you're like, do you know the phrase having your back against a wall?
Yeah.
Like, you need to kind of take that very literal. Like, you want to have your back as far away from a wall as possible, so you can react to the enemy team increasing their pressure. So in this case, you don't necessarily have to play all the way at that forward corner, because you can use the card at payload, but it also doesn't really hurt. Okay. See, you used your nade even though your team was full HP. Right? So if the enemy team uses grab, what do they want to do after that?
They want to follow up with damage?
Right. What are they going to do? They're going to push up. They're going to run in. They want to follow up on the grab. What does that enable you to do?
Huge ante.
Yes.
Very 5 man, 6 man.
Very good.
So like, I should be waiting until an opportunity to turn the fight by using my abilities.
Exactly.
Arises.
So this nade,
just, like,
all this nade really does is, if the enemy, so if your Lucio didn't beat, like, a nade doesn't save your team from a grab.
Yeah.
Right. The beat saves your team, but the nade wouldn't have saved your team anyways. But if the enemy team starts running into this grab and you just hit 3 of them with a nade and then your teammates kill them, that could save your teammates. Sometimes offense is the best defense. Like this Mei, for example, she's probably going to ice block in a second. Having you land asleep, like, just having your nade to be extra safe is a pretty good idea. Right here,
or
this is just
save my Rhine here or something. Yeah, like I said, like, got no value out of my
exactly. So this goes into the more aggressive positioning. You're playing relatively far back, which makes it impossible for you to react to situations like this. I mean, yeah, honestly, that was kind of a free team fight win, but you need to have the confidence to push up, like, aggressively afterwards. Your Reinhardt dying there, even though you had your nano boost, was, again, I'm not saying that and this is important, the game threw that card at you, right? You just, there's the deck of cards, and you just drew the card that said Reinhardt is charging in like a maniac.
Well, I already
but
know
you
that's
didn't.
What he does.
You didn't, right? So you even knew you were going to draw the card, but you weren't reacting to it.
It's not even a surprise. I should be expecting it, and I should be positioning myself accordingly.
Exactly. So same thing right here. Your team is going for the recontest. This nade here, is that really going to be turning around the fight?
I'm consistent.
Right. It's
getting no value.
Right. If you instead maybe would have thrown it at the Lucio, could have been a pick. Maybe throwing it at the Zarya, but okay, she probably would have cleansed it anyways. Right, I'm not saying that you throwing a huge anti-nade would have won you this team fight, because at this point you guys just have been snowballed into oblivion, and the enemy team had like 5 ultimates. But it's always, I think the important part is kind of detaching yourself from the decision-making process of your teammates and just looking at it as if everyone else in the game is a bot and you're just reacting to whatever they're doing. Right? Of course, in a team, you can make suggestions, you can ask them to play around you if that enables you, but during the game, you can't really micromanage or coach your team. So at that point, you just need to take whatever is coming at you and adapt to it as quickly as possible. And in this case, because your team was so far behind, you kind of need to strap your carry boots on and start impacting the game a little bit more significantly, rather than going for all of these heal nades and always positioning so far behind. And maybe that wouldn't have been enough to win the round. To be honest, that first point defense was just... You guys really need to hold at the choke. That's kind of the kindest way I can phrase it.
Yeah. it's a consistent issue. We don't know how to position like that. We just basically give everybody as much space as they want.
Yeah, you pretty much just want to hold at every single possible corner and choke the game throws at you. So you start at the first choke, and then you move back to the second corner, and then you move to like another corner, and then to another choke, and then another corner, and so on. So you get as many good defensive positions throughout the map that you can kind of make a stand against the enemy team. Okay, do we have any questions?
No.
No? That's it?
Is our time up?
It is.
Oh, okay.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. No. No. I just have, I guess, comments in terms of I'm glad I went over this. Like, I couldn't. I scheduled a session with you because I wanted to win this game because it's against like a former teammate.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, it's against my former coach.
That is so petty. What the heck?
Yeah, dude. It was. I was like, we lost to them in like a couple of like a round before the playoff. Oh, I'm pissed. Old coach, grudge match. I was like pissed. So I was like, all right, I need the most help I can get. I'm gonna hire the best person I know. That was you. Then I just kind of got tilted and kind of just gave up. And then I was like, well, I couldn't really find anything. So now I said, well, maybe it's kind of like it was meant to be to lose and then to go over it after the fact.
Well, it definitely was winnable. Like, there's a lot of stuff that could have gone differently. But again, regarding like the tilting and the whole, rivalry thing, like in the Pokemon games, you don't really focus on your rival, you focus on the Elite Four. So winning or losing this match doesn't really matter because your aspirations are much, much higher than this anyways. Like, you don't want to beat this team, you want to be so good that they need to pay for your Snapchat premium if they even want to talk to you.
Fantastic.
Good. Any other questions?
No. Oh, yeah, actually, yes. Not related to this, but is it fine if I record this and show this to people?
I wanted to ask you something very, very similar, actually. So you know that I'm uploading some of my sessions? Would you be fine with this session being uploaded?
Oh, I'd be honored.
Obviously, I censor out like some of the stuff at the start. So, I mean, the sessions I upload. I just want to make sure that no like personal information is here.
Sure.
And yeah, I don't think I've been super like flamey towards your teammates, so it shouldn't really be a big deal. But yeah, I do appreciate it. Obviously, I'll also...
I might not need to do that. If you post it, I'll just send them the link. But
oh yeah, I can just post it unlisted right away because it takes some time for me to like do the thumbnail and all of it and schedule it. But no, that's